All right, just 30 seconds more. We're just a few more people in the waiting room. Gary, I assume our two speakers are on?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
You can start anytime.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be muting everybody. If you have questions, you may send questions to the chat, and Eric Narrow, who is leading our call today, will be able to ask those questions of our speakers. So now I call in Eric Narrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell, and good evening from Tel Aviv. It's wonderful to see all of you today. For those of you that I know, for those of you that I don't know, my name is Eric Narrow, and I'm the affiliates coordinator here in Israel for Jewish National Fund USA. Today I'm standing in for Eric Michelson, our Chief Israel Officer, who's currently stationed somewhere in Israel after being called up for reserve duty. We pray that he and all of our soldiers will be able to come home safely and quickly. From his desk, I'd like to give you our update this evening. As a reminder, we'll be having updates at 7 p.m. Israel time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, and 9 a.m. Pacific time every day, including tomorrow on Friday and resuming on Sunday out of respect for Shabbat. We encourage you to reach out to your friends, family, and your personal networks to join us for these daily briefings in order to better understand what is happening here on the ground in Israel. I'd like to first off thank the president of Jewish National Fund USA, Dr. Saul Lieserbrem, as well as the Jewish National Fund USA Board of Directors, all of our task force chairs, and all of our committees, because each and every one of you is playing a dynamic role. And of course, I'd like to thank all of you, our partners in the United States. After last night's attack in southern Israel, no alarms were heard since 1 a.m., a deviation from Hamas's pattern during the current round of violence. Rocket attacks were again renewed around 9:30 this morning, with air raid alarms wailing all along the Gaza border communities. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. But I'd like for you to think for a minute about Laura Stevel, who you'll hear from in just a few minutes. Laura is an American Olah who came to Israel with Nefesh B'Nefesh from Detroit. She settled in Beersheva with her husband and her 2 small children, and she works at Ben Gurion University. Now imagine 12 sleepless nights, not knowing when the next alarm will go off. While she may not have been physically hurt by a missile, her and millions of Israelis, including myself, have been dealing with this trauma for the past 12 days. Don't forget Laura, and don't forget the millions of Israelis when you tell our story. According to the IDF, about 70 rockets and mortar shells have been fired between 7 p.m. Wednesday and 7 a.m. this morning on Thursday, 12 of which fell short in Gaza. Israeli air defenses have managed to intercept about 90% of the projectiles targeted towards Israeli population centers. The military has launched dozens of attacks on underground terrorist targets in the Gaza Strip overnight on Thursday as part of the extensive operation to destroy Hamas's subterranean tunnel system, also known as the Metro. Hamas invests tens of millions of dollars a month in digging offensive and internal tunnels, the cost of which is the cost of just 1 kilometer of these tunnels is estimated at over $500,000. Now, keep in mind, 1 kilometer is 0.6 miles. About half a mile costs over $500,000. And inside the tunnels are intensive electrical infrastructure, toilets, showers. They even have leisure rooms and tactical gathering points for military operations. Tonight, we're about to have 2 incredible speakers, Laura Stevel, who I mentioned earlier, as well as Rabbi Eli Adler, one of the pioneers from the Chalutza communities who's living every day along the borders of Gaza and Egypt. But first, as Yael promised you yesterday, as we have many affiliates and partners throughout Israel, especially throughout the Negev and Galil, we want to give everybody a short update about how our affiliates are managing during this crisis. The Jewish National Fund Gaza Envelope Task Force, some of our members, which are here with us today, have led the charge to build our 4 resilience centers throughout the Gaza Envelope region, as well as a new resilience center under construction as we speak in Sderot. These investments have been life-saving. Each are reporting an overflow of calls by residents seeking assistance over the past few days. The center's staff reaches out to the locations where rockets have hit and visit all the nearby homes to ensure that all of the residents are okay. They contact the families again the next day in order to offer continued assistance to those who are still in need. At Adi Negev, our residential village and center for people with severe disabilities, the dedicated staff and volunteers have been going above and beyond the call of duty in order to make sure that each and every resident is safe, happy, and calm. I want to remind you that the resident in no way could be left on their own, even for just 1 minute. And because of our contributions and our commitment, 261 residents and 2,500 outpatients are cared for each and every day and every single minute. Reinforced shelters within the village are all equipped with the necessary medical equipment and supplies to provide the residents with their daily medical treatments and respond appropriately to any and all emergency situations. Now, I tell you this because I want you to understand the level of detail that goes into understanding the needs and that are taken into account in order to provide our friends and family on the ground service during this difficult time. Adi Negev is still in need of an additional $250,000 immediately for more volunteer and overtime services. On a happier note, today we sent kids and parents from the Gaza Envelope to one of our heritage sites in the north to learn about the pioneering movement prior to 1948, a multi-generational legacy spanning more than 100 years that these young children are embodying each and every day, living along our southern frontier. We are arranging these day trips at a cost of $5,000 per bus, and we're in need of at least 50 buses, and the requests of these much needed days of respite continue mounting. Each bus includes the cost of transportation, activities, food, as well as security. Miriam will be putting the link in the chat so that if you or anyone you know can give $5,000, we need it now. In addition, we're working with KKL to provide portable bomb shelters in the Western Negev, many of which still do not have immediate access to a secured shelter. Each of these shelters cost $12,000. Now, there's an immediate need for at least 12 permanent standard bomb shelters at the cost of $50,000 each for the entire Gaza envelope, which we can get constructed within 2 months. These shelters will help ensure new families can feel safe in their homes, and Rabbi Adler will speak on the importance of security for attracting new residents to the region in just a few minutes. Despite unrest in certain parts of the country, the Alexander Muss High School in Israel students are still having a wonderful time, continuing their activities mostly uninterrupted. We remain committed to everyone's safety, and our headmaster, Mark Shinar, is communicating with the parents every morning, noon, and night, and 241 teenagers are experiencing 4,000 years of Jewish history, plus the past 14 days. Please make sure you're utilizing these teenagers when they come back home to hear about their story, about the land and people of Israel firsthand. If you know of any teenagers, or are a parent or grandparent with a teenager, or if you are a teenager, the best investment that you can make outside of their bar and bat mitzvah is to send them to Alexander Muss. So check out online our Dream Israel initiative, which is offering grants up to $7,500 from the Baruch and Israel Education Center for a student wanting to go to AMHSI. If you want to make a gift for the future of the Jewish people, investing in the scholarship fund for Alexander Muss is the greatest way to tell our enemies that we have won. I would now like to introduce Laura Stevel, a social worker at the Medical School for International Health associated with Ben Gurion University, who made Aliyah from Detroit 3.5 years ago, to talk about her experiences living in Beersheva. Remember, if you have any questions, please send them to me in a private message, and we'll try to answer as many as we can after Laura finishes. Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Miriam, for connecting me to this call. I'm very happy to be here. It's been a kind of a rough week for everyone living down here. Obviously, we're not in the Gaza envelope, so we don't get as many rockets as the cities closer to Gaza. But Beersheva has been getting pretty consistently a couple times a day, and at night, in the middle of the night. So, like Eric said, I made Aliyah with my husband and my older son 3.5 years ago. We moved to Beersheva actually as it was sort of a safe landing, a soft landing for us, which sounds strange to some, but my husband actually went to medical school here. So when we decided to make Aliyah, we already had friends in the area. We knew that it was relatively cheaper to live here and raise a family. And it just so happens that Beersheva is an amazing community. There are a lot of American Anglo Olim who live here. And we really are a tight-knit community here, and we take care of each other because not a lot of us have family here. And we also interact with a lot of Israelis, which not all Olim who move to Israel can say. So all in all, Beersheva is wonderful. I would not leave it for anything. Of course, one of the reasons we moved here was not the rockets. And this is actually, there have been rockets previously, but this is really the first time that we're really seeing consistently, you know, as many red alerts and sirens as we have been. If anyone, I guess, has any questions about like specifically what we have experienced as a family during this time, I guess that, you know, you can ask and I'll be happy to tell you. But overall, you know, my children are okay. We're all sleeping in our safe room as a family. My son thinks it's very fun that we're able to have a sleepover together. And more or less, my kids, my older son is 4 and my younger son is 2. So they're young enough now that I don't feel really the need to explain why we have to, why we hear sort of like the booms when the Iron Dome intercepts the rockets. But my son is, you know, he knows to go and he wants to be quiet to listen to the booms so that he can hear when we can leave. So I think, and you know, mental health wise, we're as good as can be, and everyone here is just a little tired because of the middle of the night rockets. So I guess I can throw it back to Eric or whoever. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very, very much, Laura. Again, if anybody has any questions about the reality of living on the ground, or the reality on the ground living in Beersheva or in the Negev at this time, you can send me a private message. You can speak to us afterwards. It's also important to note that Laura is part of the Nefesh B'Nefesh Go South program, and Nefesh B'Nefesh has been so instrumental in providing care, healthcare, mental wellness, even just check-ins, and a hub for emergency calls for all English-speaking residents throughout the country. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can reach out to Ali Robinson about what Nefesh B'Nefesh is doing. But it's so important. And Laura, thank you very, very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
And now it's my honor to introduce a true Zionist pioneer, a man who lives each and every day along the borders of Gaza and Egypt. And he continues to be an inspiration for the continuation of the story of the Jewish people. Rabbi Eli Adler and Yedidya Harush. I think it's from Yedidya's account, but Rabbi Adler, please, if you don't mind, the floor is yours. Rabbi Adler, I don't think that we're hearing you.
Okay, how is it now?
Better.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, my name is Eli Adler, and I live here in Chalutza. It's great to speak to you, my JNF friends. I know lots of you we met here in Israel and also in my visits in the United States. So I know you know a lot about what we're doing here in Chalutza. As you know, we came to Chalutza 15 years ago. We were, I originally lived 15 years before that in the communities in Gush Katif, which were part of the Gaza Strip. And 15 years ago, the Israeli government made the decision of what was called the evacuation plan. And of course, it was very difficult for us to leave our homes, but you know, we're part of the state of Israel. And when we understood that this is the Israeli government plan, even if it was very, very painful for us to leave our homes, our permanent homes. We left, and then we had to decide where are we going to continue to go. And even though a lot of us were very angry with the government those days, we still, our very strong connection to the Zionist movement, to the state of Israel, to the Jewish people, we decided that we are going to turn the page and we're going to look towards the future. And that's what brought us to come here to Chalutza, because we asked the government, tell us, where's the most important place, where's the area in Israel today that we need new communities, we need Jews to come to settle the Negev. And the government pointed out this area here in Chalutza. And that's what we're doing here. I had the privilege to be part of the first 15 families who decided to jump into the water and to come here. And we had a dream that everything will go calm, and the security problems we had in Gush Katif wouldn't come out and turn out again here. And we started building our communities, and more families decided to join us here. Even though it's really, whoever was here, it's a real far out area here. It's one of the far out areas in the Negev. We came here, everything was only sand and sand, but still the spirit and the faith of the people who came here started make this dream come through. And one of our greatest partners that really helped us to establish and to bring us to what we are here today is the JNF United States. The JNF once used to do water reserves and forests, but I think since Russell, I think this leadership of Russell and the strategic thought of how communities are supposed to develop, the JNF became involved in all our terms of our life here. And they built here a big medical center and a youth center and parks and things that have to do with the life, a great community center we have here, a synagogue, and whatever has to do with our life. But what we found out here through the years, which was very, very difficult to us, that even though we thought we were like in a peace term, but unfortunately, what happened throughout the years we were here, that every 2-3 years, the Hamas let us know that we didn't reach the future peace yet. And unfortunately, life here became very, very difficult through these years. But still, there's a miracle which is happening here, because families are continue coming in, because the great communities that we're building here, because what the JNF is doing here, because the JNF is helping us thinking about our future, how we can build businesses here, how we can build more homes, more houses, how our communities here can turn from a group of 15 families that we came here to come and to be hundreds and thousands of families here. And thank God today, it's hard to believe Russell was just here like a week ago. And after like a year and 2 months, we didn't meet. And to tell him that this year, this difficult year we went through, with the coronavirus, still, we're already here in Chalutza. We have over 400 families. And this year, more and more families are coming in. We have this year about 120 families on the waiting list to move into Chalutza. But I want to tell you one important thing. Today, I'll tell you a personal story. I lived in the Naveh community for 10 years in a permanent house. And me and my family, the last year, we made a decision that we want to go ahead in another Chalutzi, like a pioneer mission. And the young community here in Chalutza is Shlomit. And we made a decision that we were going to leave our permanent home. We lived in for 10 years, and we were going to move into the young community, which still needs more people coming in, and people like our family, which has, we lived here a few years, and we know what building the community here is, and to join the young families of Shlomit, a family like us that came into here is it gives an important donation to the community here, and the people of Shlomit really wanted us to come and join. So we decided to make the move, But when you move into a new community here, you don't have a house in a permanent house in the first day you come in. So me and my family, we left our permanent house and we moved into a caravan of 75 square meters. But the only reason my wife and my children agreed to come with me and to move into this house is because this temporary house has a bomb shelter, which the JNF built 7 years ago. And that's the only reason my wife, even though we were going through very difficult days, I would run here after like 20 minutes ago, we had a siren here, and all of our family we were in the bomb shelter room, but we felt safe. And what helps families and what continues the future and the development of our communities is the fact that new families that are coming in, these 120 families that want to come in, and not all of them move straight into a permanent house. Sometimes you want to come out into such a far out area in the Negev. It's not so simple to make a decision that you're going to build a house with 2 million shekels and put all your investments in the house. People come, they live for a year or two in a temporary home, and then they move into the permanent, and they make the decision and they move into their permanent home. But here now, still today, to have the ability to bring in all these families and to continue the great things that we're doing here together with the JNF. And it's incredible. We have students living here and learning, studying. We have engineers, we have doctors here. Thanks for all the partnerships that we are building these quality and modern communities, but still the issue of the security and the fact that every house and every temporary house has to have a bomb shelter, or else the families won't come in. So I think these days, let us understand more and more the great need we have here. We still have here, where we live in the area, which is further than 7 kilometers from the Gaza Strip border, even though we live a kilometer from the Egyptian border. But the law in Israel today, if you live over 7 kilometers from the Gaza Strip, you're not entitled for a bomb shelter from the state. But the missiles, they don't know that law, and they fly further than 7 kilometers. And that's why today in our communities here, we're still missing here about 20 bomb shelters, part of them for homes, part of them for our schools. And this is a great need we need these days. And this help from the JNF that helped us already seven years ago the JNF built here 50 bomb shelters. And that's what made what we are today. And the fact that we have 100 and 120 families that are on the waiting list this year is only because the fact that we have secure homes. And this fact is one of the understanding of the great strategic vision of the JNF, which understands that to build a great life here in Chalutza is not only by building a pool and a community center and businesses and a medical center, but we need security. And this is, these days that we are here today, they put us, our face and the understanding of this great need we have for the future and the great continuation of the development of the Chalutza and all the Negev, Western Negev communities.
Wonderful, Rabbi Adler. Thank you. At this point, I want to ask our president, Dr. Saul Lieserbrem, if you have any questions or to add anything about the importance of our work along the Gaza Envelope region.
Well, thanks, Rabbi. You must be very special because Yedidia doesn't let anybody use his camera or his computer. So I don't know how you talk them into it, but we're glad you're here with us. So I have maybe a question or two. They're related. One's more of an explanation. A lot of people here don't understand what a fire wagon is. everybody knows what a fire truck is, but a fire wagon that's so important to your area, and you know, how we can help in that fashion. And the second related to that is when a fire does erupt, especially when it's dry like it is now, and you have to use the wagon to go out to put out a fire, and you only have a few seconds if the alarm goes off. How far are the bomb shelters from the areas where you're extinguishing the fires?
Mr. President, shalom. You know, seeing you and everybody else make me want to give you a big hug. But I know you're hugging us from far away. I will, if you allow me, I will take this question and try to answer it, as we just had a big fire that was caused from a rocket. So for your first question, the fire wagon. So what is a fire wagon? Fire wagon basically is a small cart that connects to the security, usually the security vehicle's car. The security officers, which are located in every community, each have you know, this option to have a fire wagon. The fire wagon connects to the car. The fire wagon has a small motor and a big tank of water, and the motor with all the equipment, with the hoses and everything, basically sends high pressure. This is not a fire truck, but sometimes it's much more effective than a fire truck, because the security officer sees or gets a phone call from a resident that they saw a fire. They immediately connect it, or in times of you know, stress like now, it's already connected. They fly to the place and they're able to get there within minutes. And then with the high pressure water, you know, hose and equipment, they're able to take out the fire very quickly. This is a very, very urgent need in our area. I can tell you that I witnessed many, many times that we were able to take out fires with the fire wagon. For example, last week, our fire truck, after about 40 fires, had an issue with the wheels. It took the fire department a few days to take care of it. So in the meantime, we used the fire wagon and were able to take many fires. Now, about the second question, which is about the rockets. Our nearest bomb shelter is nowhere to be found. Our bomb shelter is the ground. We lay on the ground. We put our heads over our head. I will even show you an example if you want. So we use these helmets, and it's a way it protects us. We lay down and we put our hands over our head, and we pray very, very, very hard that nothing will happen. And thank God nothing have happened yet. Rockets landed next to us a few times, but that doesn't stop us from running into the fire to try and take care of what's needed to be taken care of.
So would it be of any advantage to have small bomb shelters for 1 or 2 people placed strategically out in the fields?
That's so you're making a very good point. For example, sometimes the farmers out on the ground, they don't have enough bomb shelters, but the fires that we take care of could be in the middle of a field. These are huge fields and of agriculture and huge forests. Usually we're not anywhere that it can be. Sometimes we're also very close to the border. That's you know, it's part of being on the fire department. You have to sacrifice your life, just like I do on my Army Reserve unit. Well,
stay safe, and we We have some programs going on now. Oh, there's one of the fire wagons. We have some programs going on now for matching gifts, and hopefully some of those will go to some more fire wagons for Chalutza.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for all over the Gaza envelope, we are all working as a one team to try and take care of all the fires. Most of the fires don't happen in Chalutza. They happen closer to the border, but we are united and have mutual commitment together with you, 600,000 people who live in the United States. We salute you to your support and to your partnership. And especially in nowadays where we go through difficult times, this big hug that you give us and this big push gives us a lot of strength to continue. And I promise you, on behalf of the people who live here, on behalf of all the security teams, that we will not stop, and we're strong, and that we're going to continue and move on and be able to get over this and strengthen our community and grow them even bigger.
Great. Thank you. And back to you, Eric.
Thank you very much. We have one more question for Laura. Laura, I see you're still on the call. About life in Beersheva. The question is, how has Nefesh B'Nefesh helped you in your aliyah to the south as part of Go South? And how has Beersheva changed, or how is it changing since you've been here?
Okay, very good questions. First of all, when we made Aliyah 3.5 years ago, there was the Go South grant that is, I guess, given to go north, or if you go north or south, anywhere in the periphery. So that was, I mean, without that, I don't know, what we would have done without that. So that was really, really helpful and important. And also there was staff helping with employment, because when you move to Beersheva, you really, really need to work on your Hebrew. You really need to have a good grasp of Hebrew in order to, you could get lucky and find something in English, but if you really want to, make a good living here, you really, in Beersheva, you need to know Hebrew. So having them translate resumes for free, that was really helpful, which I used. And just in general, just like there was really good, like everyone knew who the point person was for the South, and just knowing, like, it was almost like they were part of the community because they like knew everyone, because everyone is so, there's, it's not like Modi'in or Beit Shemesh. It's, it's not as big. And the second question, how is Beersheva changing? From when?
Oh, from even, what are some of the biggest transformations in Beersheva? Jewish National Fund has been invested in Beersheva for a number of years. Those who have been to Beersheva in 20 years ago versus today, and even in the past couple of years, you could see some kind of transformation. As a resident, how are you seeing the city change and evolve?
Well, we have an amazing mayor. He is wonderful, and he really, like, any pocket of Beersheva that is sort of not being used or beautified in some way, he like finds something to do with it and like makes it a museum or a park. We have some of the best parks in Israel. I can say that hands down. We have some of the best parks, huge parks, like fountains for kids to play in because it gets really hot here. Just nature. I mean, you think like we're living in the desert.
Have you seen the new lake yet?
What?
Have you seen the new lake yet?
I personally have not, but because of Corona and everything, going places was hard. But yeah, just in general, like the city is just, you come here and you really don't feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. I'm not, some people think like Beersheva, what is that? Why did you choose to live there? You have to come and see it in order to really understand what it's like to live here.
It's wonderful. And I'll just add, Russell put in here to the chat about our World Zionist Village. It's very important. We're in a time of heightened escalation of violence. People are very worried about what's going on, but our job as Jewish National Fund USA is not to think about today, but to anticipate for the future. And the World Zionist Village that we're building is going to be located in the Beersheva River Park. So Laura, when we come for the national conference in October, we expect you to join us for after Crisis L'Chaim, and to see this huge campus that we're going to build, which is going to be a center for this conversation that we're having here, bringing everybody together to be able to talk and learn and understand, create Israel as something that is not just a place or an idea, but is something that envelops our lives. And this is one of our biggest projects to date. It's going to be one of the largest educational centers in Israel for Zionist education. And I'm very, very excited, Laura, for you to be able to see it. And for everybody on the call, next time you come to Israel, check out Beersheva, check out what's going on. I know that this is about the current situation that we have this call, but it's really about planning for tomorrow. That's when the real work begins. We have one more question. How will the JNF Zionist Village change Beersheva? That's a very, very good question. We are going to be bringing all kinds of people down to Beersheva. The implementation of the campus in the new development of the city on the southern side that was previously garbage and industrial waste has transformed into a public space. The introduction of the Zionist Village is going to be a place that's not only going to provide jobs for local people in the community, but connect people coming from all over the world within the community itself. It's a hub. They're not meant to stay there. They're meant to be part of Beersheva. So this World Zionist Village will create Beersheva as the international center, not just for Zionist education advocacy, but for the future of the pioneering spirit of the Jewish people. We don't have any more questions. I'll just give it another minute. And Russell put in a video. Again, remember the situation that we have now, this is going to end, and October, we hope to see you all here for our national conference. It'll be the first conference in Israel. Everything that we're talking about, we'll be able to see. And if there's nothing else, I see Ruth has raised her hand. Ruth, if you could just put it in the chat, if possible, or we could speak following. A reminder that we'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock p.m. Israel time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Everybody, thank you for being here. Good night from Tel Aviv. Thank you for your love and support, and we hope for a quiet evening.